Are we just going to pretend that something didn't happen to Mac? Marcus made an exasperated sound. He died of a drug overdose. You heard them say. So Mac just, what, decided to take up fentanyl while he was at a medical call-out? You buy that, Charles? Because it feels a little far-fetched to me. Charles didn't say anything. He'd been pretty quiet since the news had come in, and it was no secret that he and Mac had been tight. They had come in about the same time, and Mac was the one who had brought him into the cult of Jesse. If it hadn't been for Mac, Charles might not have met any of us. He might be thinking better of it, if that was the case now. Mac made the third to die under strange circumstances, and I couldn't believe it was a coincidence. Look, Marcus said, rounding on me but trying to keep his voice low, we still have 3 weeks until Halloween. Regardless of what's going on, we just have to stick together and we'll get through it. He won't kill all of us before it's time to go, Hadrien said cryptically. He can't get us all before the time comes, and he knows it. He never even looked at us when he said it, just staring off into space like a zombie as he clutched at that little totem. We all exchanged a look. Hadrien, the brains of the operation, our leader and plan maker, was losing it. He barely ate, he never slept, and all he did was listen to the voice of that rock he had, the one he had snatched from the warden's office. It was a little unsettling, watching him mumble to himself, and when he did speak, it was almost worse. When he spoke, it was always to deliver some cryptic prophecy. He had told Mac not to go to his call-out the other day. Come to think of it, we'd been sitting in the day room watching the end of Good Morning America when Officer Haley had come in and told Mac to come on. Hadrien turned as the man got up, clutching his shirt and making the poor guy jump as he held him in place and begged him to stay. Danger lurks in that place, he had whispered. If you go, it's certain you will never return. Mac had shrugged it off, telling Hadrien that he'd be fine, but then he had died of a drug overdose right there. Whatever Hadrien had there, it had been right about the things it showed him. He who? I asked. Who is he? Hadrien looked lost, like he was trying to find something he had lost track of before, finally whispering, I do not know. I cannot see him, but he sees us. Marcus sighed. Don't encourage him. We need to stick to the plan. We still need the candle, and it's gonna be the hardest bit to get. Don't worry, Frank said. I got it worked out. I know a guy in the kitchen who's sneaking me fat off the pork chops and grease from the meat. Grease and fat? What good is that gonna do us? Charles asked. Fool, don't you know nothing? Candles are made out of tallow, and that's fat. And grease, well, we can supplement for what we can't get. My brother and I used to make candles out of it when we were little, to keep warm when Daddy would drink up the power bill money. Doesn't make heat real well, but it does make light, and that's all we need, I assume. Marcus looked at Hadrien for a moment, hoping he would add some wisdom there, but when he got nothing for his effort, Hadrien told Frank that sounded fine. So long as it lights, it should work. We need to stay put, Hadrien said suddenly. If we go out there, we need to go in a group. He can't get us if we're in a group. Safety in numbers. Numbers are best. If we stick together, then we will be safe. He went right on mumbling to himself as we turned back to the TV, trying our best not to notice as he slowly deteriorated. It was a sound plan, however, and we decided to adopt it. Whether it was going to meals, going to rec, or even just moving inside the dorm, we all went in a group. We probably looked a little silly, but no one commented. Seemed like everyone was grouping up these days, and it had a lot to do with the people getting killed. They seemed to have accepted that Mac had been part of that too, and everyone was on high alert as we moved deeper into October. A couple of days passed with nothing of note happening, and when one of the guards came to see us on Friday night, the same one that had got us into the tower, Even Hadrien noticed how ragged he was looking. His hair was a mess, his uniform disheveled. His eyes roamed the day room like he expected to be attacked. "I don't have long," he said. "I have found a way to get you guys into the graveyard on Halloween, but it's going to be extremely dangerous, and you have to be ready at 11 o'clock. This is going to be quick, it's going to be dirty, and you may not like what you see while you're doing it." Marcus and I shared a look. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. I can't say, but the route we're taking is through the Bone Way," Hadrien whispered, before breaking into a snickering fit. "He's taking us through the tombs and into the Bone Way." The guard looked at him and seemed to weigh again the benefits of helping us. "What the hell is wrong with him?" "Nothing," Marcus lied. He's just a little stressed out at all the preparation for the raising. He'll be ready when the time comes, don't you worry. The plan is sound, right?" The guard nodded, rising from the table as he noticed the officer return from break. "I'll be in touch. Stay safe and stay together." "Don't tell me you think something's targeting us too," Marcus said with exasperation. "It's not a coincidence that 3 of you have died. Management may be putting the idea out there that the deaths aren't connected, but it's not hard to see a pattern here." So, that's what we did for the next 4 or 5 days. We left the dorm only as much as we had to. We stayed in a group when we did, and we didn't take needless risks. No one had any call-outs. None of us had a prison job to go to, and we mostly just watched each other's backs. The only oddity seemed to be the attention of the big orange cat that had taken to following Charles around. No one had ever seen the cat become so interested so quickly in so many different inmates, but the fact that he'd been following those who turned up dead wasn't overlooked either. People had started avoiding the cat and stopped feeding it scraps when they left the chow hall. Charles had tried to laugh it off, but I could tell it was worrying him. It had followed Mac the last day before he had turned up dead, and now it was following him too. He was trying his best to keep it together, but the cracks were beginning to show. The second week of October went by mostly without incident, and when Saturday came, we felt relieved to have come 1 week closer to our goal. As we lined up for chow, I noticed we were 1 short, and I turned back to the dorm to see Charles still bundled up under his covers. I took a step towards him, meaning to wake him up, but Frank told me to leave him be. Charles had been stressing over the attention of old One Ear, and if he wanted to sleep, we should let him. I doubt anyone's going to attack him while we're gone, and if he wants to stay inside the secured dorm, behind the locked doors, then that's fine. I didn't want to leave him, but I nodded and went to breakfast with the rest of them. Frank lingered around the food window when it was his turn, drawing a shout from the guard, but when he came to sit down, he was all smiles. "I got the last of the grease. I should be able to finish the candle tonight." "Wonderful," Hadrien said, his food mostly untouched. "After that, we have everything for the ritual. We just have to outlast whoever is killing our group." Marcus started to say something, but Hadrien spoke over him. I know, Marcus, that you do not put a lot of credence into these killings being linked, but someone is targeting us. The guards can see it, so why can't you?" "Because we've been careful," he said, though it sounded lame to me as well. "Because I don't think anyone could guess our motives. How could anyone know to target us? It's just..." He searched for something, but couldn't come up with it, apparently. "And yet they are. The totem has told me things about the warden and the prison that lead me to believe that none of it is too out of the ordinary for this place. The warden likely already knows we took his things, but he cannot find where we have hidden them, so he's forced to act through a proxy. As long as we act smartly, there is nothing he can do to us. We act within their rules to break them. In that way, we are untouchable." I nodded. This sounded like the old Hadrien I'd known, and I was glad to see him return. We came back to the dorm, ready to plan, and Marcus told me to go wake up Charles. He slept in late enough. He could be of help here. I went and shook him, telling him he'd missed breakfast, but it wasn't until he fell out of his bunk that I noticed all the blood. The wool blankets we use had soaked it up, drinking him dry as he died, and I stepped away as he began to leak on the floor. His head lolled on its slashed neck, and his eyes were open and staring. I ran for a guard. It appeared the killer had struck again. You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.